Welcome, you guys. Well, in the United States, we are getting ready to chow down and celebrate with family and friends of all shapes and sizes, colors, and stuff. It's Thanksgiving week, and I just want to remind all of you. Well, we're going to remind all of you about being some happy, bringing some happy to you. We've got an amazing guest today, but really quick. Good morning, Benny. Good morning to everybody. How are you, love?
Hi there, doing awesome. I'll go and bring myself in. There's our guest as well, Katie. So yeah, happy Thanksgiving early to everyone. And
I
right,
know.
uh,
I
are you
know.
preparing?
No,
Yeah, neither am I.
no. And I want to do a little shout out to those that are single and or empty nesters and they're shuffling kids, and some of us are alone during the holidays. And I was reminded, I was talking to some colleagues and girlfriends and guy friends, and they're like, yeah, it's bittersweet, right? And I wanted to put a shout out there to those, even if you're not with what you are have designed as your family, whether it's divorce, it's separation, it's travel, it's work, whatever that is. For those of you that are witnessing these people that aren't with family, please reach out to them, give them love and gratitude and appreciation. When I was in the Pacific Northwest, even during Thanksgiving and Christmas, if it happened to be a UPS driver, which I certainly didn't intend for there to be, on Thanksgiving Day, I always had a gift for them. And I always, if they came to the door, it's they're sacrificing time with family and they're busting their tails. So anybody with the deliveries or the baristas, the service industry are really working hard to provide something special for you. So let's tip really big.
Good call. Good
Not
call.
right, not only with money, but also with appreciation too. I mean, they're sacrificing. So um, for those that are single, those that are empty nesting, those that have chosen because of work and all that, we love you. We support you. You are absolutely worthy. And yeah, so just there. So that was my long and short answer to what you were asking,
Perfect. It's
Benny.
all good. It's all good.
All good. Yes. And you and the boys?
Yeah, just staying local.
Nice.
Family and
Yeah.
friends. Just yeah.
Yeah. Nice.
Mhm.
Okay, well, thank you very much. Wonderful holiday to everybody that is listening across the world. And thank you so much. Remind all of you, SoundCloud, iTunes, podcast world, all of that happens after the live show. If you would like to join us on YouTube and see who we're talking to and what we're wearing and all the goofing off stuff, you can do that on YouTube. And all you got to do is go to YouTube and type in 1150 AM, and we are right there. Please give us, I call it a 6-star rating because why not shoot for the stars? That and the YouTube and also SoundCloud, iTunes world. We would love for that review. Also, to remind all of you to sign up for the newsletter if you want special links, some special goodies, all that. You will need to go to claritywithsue.com, and the newsletter is going to pop up. It's called Love Bumps. We're just going to love on you every week. I'm not going to spam you. There's some special gigs and things that would be happening, events that be happening, and it's for your benefit. It's quality content. That would be the only reason I give you an extra email. Above and beyond that, I'd love to just stay connected with you guys. So reach out, let me know, keep asking questions, keep requesting guests, keep requesting what you want to talk about, what you want to hear, what you want to get clear on. And let's reclaim, redesign, and bust some butt, I guess. I don't know what I was going to say, but I'm going to roll with that for right now. Benny, thank you for the
Perfect for the holidays, I guess too.
bust
Bust
some
some
butt. I
hump.
don't
Bust
know.
some butt.
I don't know. I was rolling
Bust
with
some hump.
something. And pardon me, I have a little froggy in my throat and my lungs because I went for an ice run yesterday. So I will try to remember to mute my microphone if I have a little coughing spell. So bear with me here, audience. All right, we have everyday happiness happening today. I mean, come on, who doesn't need some extra spicy happiness that happens? And we're going, and you guys know this about me, whether it was the I'm Thankful Network, 15, 18 years ago, to the Gratitude Cafe, to now Clarity with Sue. It's all the same mission, all the same premise of gratitude, happiness, and giving you the tools to redesign, reclaim, and to keep you and to sustain that mindset. So we're going to talk about happiness and what that looks like. We're going to dive in and get to the juicy stuff. So let me introduce you to Katie Jeffcoat, is the host of Everyday Happiness. Now, this is really clever, Katie. The Daily Micro Podcast, a happiness curator, kindness crusader, speaker, and author. She supports mostly women moving from feeling hectic to harmonious because she fundamentally believes we deserve to make time for our priorities. We deserve to live a life of harmony, and it's within our control to create it. Boom! Drop the mic. Okay, I'm done. Welcome. This is awesome. So I
Well,
do the
thanks.
chart bio, but we want to get to know you. We want to know your why, get to know your juicy energy, all of that love. So welcome.
Thanks for having me. I'm super excited to be here. Hello, everyone.
Hi. Yes. Okay. Happy. How did this? And then we got to talk about the micro podcast. That's genius, sisters, and the kindness cards, even more so. Because I'm a big proponent of consistently inconsistent and surprising myself with sticky notes, kindness notes, all of that, right? So
Oh, yeah.
I'm going to stop talking. I want to get to know you. The audience wants to get to know you. Let us know how this all started, love.
Oh, my gosh. Well, some of us can relate to how this started for me. You know, I was a practicing attorney for a number of years, stopped doing that, had kids. And in 2020, we all can remember when we heard the news of this global pandemic and
This
for
thing.
this thing. Yeah. And for me, I had two kids and I basically just like mama bared them and locked everybody in the house and said nobody could leave. And I started to have, like, at the very beginning, the first few days, we had no idea what was going on. And I live right outside of Washington, D.C. It's very much a transient area. You can imagine like international flights and people from all over, which is wonderful and amazing and cultural and fulfilling. But when they're talking about a global pandemic coming into our airspace, but we don't know how or from where, what's happening, it felt like a lot. And so, what I did, which I have to think that I'm not alone, but what happened when I started hearing this news is I took these children and my husband and we like hunkered down. And then I started getting so obsessed with the news reports, like the press conferences that were happening every
Yeah.
single day, sometimes twice a day. And I was like, I got to see the news. I got to see the press. What's happening? And then I started doom scrolling social media and trying to figure out what was going on, what were my friends doing, what was happening on the news. I got on Twitter. This is a terrible idea. I got on Twitter and I was like, I have to know
P.S.
what's
Disclaimer:
happening.
don't do this. We're not advocating.
Yeah, we're not advocating, but this is what
But
happened.
this
And
has happened to
this
everybody.
is how it
Yeah.
happens. And I know that, people in my circle were also doing this. And what it did for me is it took this sense of what I had of control and just threw it out the window. I had no control. And what that did to me internally was make me feel incredibly anxious because I didn't know what the next step was. And there was nothing I could do about it except keep my kids right next to me. And so it became, for a few months, it became a cycle of feeling like I don't know what's happening. And the thing is my glass is always half full. I am that person that is always, looking at the bright side, but I couldn't help myself. I was
Right.
addicted to the negativity. I was addicted to like what was happening next. I felt like the next press conference was going to give me all the answers. And what we know now is that's absolutely not what happened. So
You're talking
after
about thousands and thousands of people had the same thing going on, love.
I mean, I feel like I feel like that's what was happening. And so what I decided to do is really think about what I could control. And I started diving into happiness and happiness research. And as a former attorney, I couldn't I couldn't just be like all in woo woo land of like, which I love. I love the stars. I love the universe. I want to manifest all the things, but I needed proof because
Yeah.
I was feeling so out of control. And so I needed the proof. And so I started diving into happiness. And then I was on Zoom chats with my girlfriends, coffee chats, happy hours, all the things. And I was
Oh,
telling them what I was learning. And one of my girlfriends was like, you need to start a podcast and tell people this, but make it super short. And then I worked with Amazon and started Amazon Alexa flash briefing so you can listen to it on your Amazon device every single morning. And it has to be only like 3 minutes or less. And so it just, this inspirational, amazing, juicy goodness really did develop out of some pain and wanting to refocus my attention. And it's was more for me than for anyone else at the time. And now it's just a way to remember that we get to choose happiness. And the science proves it, which is so fun.
so fun. Thank you for doing that, by the way, too. And also telling us the backstory, because there's so many people that can relate to that and spinning out in the fear, all of that. And I was just the contrast. I was completely the opposite of that. I didn't look at news. I didn't do any of that. I had 3 grown children that were like, Mom, didn't you know you're supposed to wear masks? And I'm like, masks to what? To the grocery store. And I'm like, what is happening here? Because it was really important to me to not spin out in that rabbit hole. Now, did I on occasion? There were times because, I would see people outside walking around and wearing masks, and it was just different for me. So let's go back to keeping the mindset of happy. Thank you for giving us your backstory. And isn't it also true, Katie, that what's that statement? We most need to teach what we learn, or what is that? We most need to teach what we learn or teach or something.
Yeah, I think you've got it right. And you're absolutely right, because I needed it so bad, even though I'm glasses half full
Half
all
full.
the time.
Yeah. Yeah.
Every single time. And I assume positive intent and I care, just like it just you need what you need. And I think when you are authentically sharing, it becomes this magic that you
Yes.
can't help yourself.
Yes, right there. And it has to be shared. Step out of that guilt or shames or whatever, that stuff that you're feeling, the rabbit hole of whatever that is, and get out there and be that example. And look at the example that now you switched. It was like you completely switched for your family and your children too, right?
Absolutely. Absolutely. And before the pandemic, I was this like happy, like go lucky, all the things. It was just this period of time that felt so isolating and just out of control. And,
But that's a great metaphor for life in general. There's so many people that are there in them on a daily basis. They're riddled with anxieties or traumas or all of that. So it's really important to be able to switch.
yeah. And sometimes it's just a season, right? We have to give ourselves permission to pivot. So some seasons are going to be busier than others. Some seasons are going to have different things happening, whether it has to do with your children or your, relationship or the day, right? How you're feeling. Like, and it's okay. Like, that's the whole point. Like, we can't make a plan and that's it forever. Like, we have to just understand that we get to pivot. We get to, if we want.
Yes. Big fat permission slip.
Yeah.
Instead of, and wouldn't you rather pivot to happiness than pivot to the rabbit hole?
I mean, for me, I would. And,
and that's why I do this radio show. Yes,
yeah,
please.
They agree. And I don't bring people from sad to happy. Like, that's ridiculous. Like,
yeah.
That doesn't even happen in real life. But you can boost it. And that's what I love. There's a certain percentage of what is in our control scientifically, like in our brains. And that's where I really dive in and just hone in on
Well,
all
let's
that good
go
stuff.
there, sis. Talk to us about that.
Well, it's so interesting because I've mentioned a couple times already, and you have too, that we just are glass half full people.
Yeah.
And the science actually agrees. Happiness is about 50% genetics. It is just the way we are. And then there's about 25% that's circumstantial, what's happening to us, right? And then there's this other 25-ish percent, it depends, like DNA, humans, we're not identical, so it's not identical, but it's about 25% that's in our control. that we get to decide how we show up, how we respond to the things that happen in our lives, and what that looks like. There's this happiness scientist and author, Sean Acor. I don't know
Yeah.
if you've heard of him.
Yes.
If you haven't, go out there and Google his name. He's got some great stuff. He's also got a TED Talk that's really good. He says that 90% of long-term happiness is actually within how our brains process the world. And only 10% is actually external. So it's how our brains process the world is how he thinks most of our happiness is achieved.
That is the same with conscious and unconscious, right? It's the iceberg effect. It's the exact same thing. Yeah. Go ahead.
Yeah.
Brilliant.
I mean, it's so fascinating, right? But what I think is so interesting is maybe we should start here, like how we really define happiness. Because so many people have lots of different ways that they define happiness or what they think happiness is. In fact, I'm doing a series on my podcast on Sundays where I ask people in 2 minutes how they define happiness. And everybody has a different way, which is great because there's a million ways to do anything, right?
Yeah.
But scientifically, what the researchers will mostly agree on, if I'm just bundling it all up together in this like curated bow, they would say that there's actually 2 prongs to happiness, which is so fascinating and where I think the magic is. So the first prong of happiness is, your emotions. It's the joy, the contentment, the love, the other positive feelings, right? It's this well-being. And then the second prong of happiness is where the magic is. And this is what you can really control. And it's purpose and satisfaction.
Ooh.
So, right? Like it's like gives you all the feels already. So purpose is how you feel when you're doing the thing you love. This can be productive work. This can be academic research. This can be building a business. It can be being involved with your community. It could be caring for a parent or children. It could be whatever it is for you. When you're doing the thing you love. And then satisfaction is fascinating. So it's appreciating what you have more than pining for what you want. And this is where a lot of gratitude comes in, right?
Yes.
So many of us think that we're going to be satisfied or happier, right? When we get the next thing, when we get what we want, when we get whatever's on the other side of the coin. They call this hedonic adaptation. It's a scientific principle that basically says that you never actually get what you want. And you're always on this treadmill because as a human, you're always wanting the next thing. It's why the new car smell isn't a new car smell a week later, or why you get a promotion and then you want a bigger promotion.
Yes.
Satisfaction is elusive and it doesn't actually give us the happiness that we think it will. Our brains just trick ourselves. And we're so complex and it's so crazy, but that is, in layman's terms, our brains just trick ourselves and it's impossible if you don't really hone in on what you have more than what you want. So it's all within our control. And this is the part that I think is the magic.
Repeat that again, Katie. Hone in on
what you have more than you pine for what you want.
There's a lot of law of attraction in that too. Total satisfaction. Right? Full on.
Yeah.
And there was some research I did when I was doing some community public speaking a few years ago, but actually it's longer than that. And it goes to appreciation and gratitude. And if you're to the entrepreneurs, to the business owners, if you are concerned about bottom line, which most of us are, and don't quite, and it's been a few years, so the statistic percentage could have shifted a little bit less, but I think it was like 65% of employees do not feel appreciated. Their leadership has not chosen to share authentic gratitude and appreciation.
Yeah.
Huge.
Yeah. And Yeah, and people want to know that their leaders care deeply, right? Like they just care deeply. That's like all of this stuff, like about like radical candor, which is the author, I'm gonna say Kim Smith. Anyway, it's a book called Radical Candor, and it's this idea that in a workforce, when you care deeply, you can then give radical candor, and people will appreciate it, take it, and want that. You have
Oh,
like that. Building a workforce is so critical, and like that culture is just so sticky and
so yeah,
magic.
and that's yes. I love this. And I know we're kind of doing this, but that's okay because that's what we do. And for those of you on the radio, I was going wiggle, wiggle, wiggle. We're going a few different ways, and that's okay because that's where we're supposed to be going. And understanding that personal and business, you talk about Kim Smith, the radical candor, and aligning. I'm going to how important it is that you align with not only your personal values, but also your entrepreneur, your business. You want employees to be aligned with your code of conduct, with your alignment of how you show up in the world, what your business is showing up as, right? I'm not a fast food mentality. I'm not going to support McDonald's, right? That's just not in alignment with what I do. However, and where I was going with this whole conversation, it's really important that if gratitude and appreciation and satisfaction is really important to you, make sure that you're communicating that to your employees, your staff, your team, your family. They're all a team, right?
Yeah, and so at the beginning of your show today, you mentioned like the show appreciation to the UPS driver, have a little gift, the barista, tip big. At the very beginning of the show, you mentioned that. And I think that is so important. But also, in addition, it's language, right? So it's thank you. I appreciate you.
Authentic
Authentic.
language.
Yes. So when you
deep,
see
not just thank you. No.
Right. Like, hey, I noticed that you showed up and you made an extra effort because you did X, Y, or Z. I really appreciate that. Or I see you, I notice you. Whether it's a workforce or it's whether you can do that individually, kindness is contagious, right? We can do this all day long.
Well, let's dive into that, Katie, because I know from personal experience that your lack of self-esteem or your inability to have self-love and compassion for yourself affects how you're going to communicate to the other person. Meaning, if you don't feel self-love, if you don't feel appreciation, it's going to be very difficult for you to find the language to communicate that to your partner, your partner, teammate, kids, marriage, whatever that is. So I would like to encourage people to start with kindness for yourself, start with gratitude for yourself, and really start building that muscle within yourself so you can get in alignment, because we all want that. We all want to be heard. We all want to be appreciated. We all want to be loved on. That's what we're here for.
And what a gift.
Such a pretty gift. Pretty, juicy, yummy, all the stuff.
Yeah.
Especially going into the holidays when I would have the big holiday dinners, I still do even now, but even more so with the family. And I would put gratitude notes on the table and go around and have everybody read them. And it was just to take a moment and just really appreciate. So I encourage y'all to do that. You know what? We're about the halfway mark. Why don't we go ahead and take a commercial break? When we come back, we're going to continue with Katie. We're going to be on, where are we going to be? YouTube. And if you are wanting to join us over there, please do that. All you got to do is go to YouTube and type in 1150 AM. And for those of you in the radio world, we're going to do a quick commercial break. We love you, and we will be right back.
Cool. All clear, ladies.
Thank you. I love this conversation.
So good.
So good. And of course, you would reschedule because Hey there, everyone. Sue here with Clarity with Sue. You also know me as the host and creator of the Gratitude Cafe. Please sign up for the newsletter so we can stay in touch. All you got to do is go to claritywithsue.com, sign up for the newsletter, and I am creating vitality, abundance, and resilience. I want you to win in life and to reclaim, rediscover, redesign the authentic and genuine you. If that sounds juicy and yummy, come over, let's have a conversation. Sign up for the newsletter and or the coaching program and the C2C live online program. Again, that's claritywithsue.com.
Time is funny. Sometimes it seems fast and other times slow. When it comes to time slots remaining on Alternative Talk 1150, time is running out. In fact, there are just a few primetime slots available. So if you want to host your own radio program, the time to call 425-653-1150 is right now. Nope, no time for excuses. Dial 425-653-1150 to find out how affordable it can be to host a radio show. Alternative Talk, we have an opportunity waiting just for you.
Hi, I'm Dr. Shelley Place with today's tip for kids from the American Academy of Pediatrics. Kids are full of energy, but keeping them active in their teen years can be a challenge. Aim for an hour of physical activity every day. If they like sports, that's a great place to start. Keep the focus on fun, not winning, and encourage your child to do a variety of activities. If your child isn't meeting that 60-minute goal, gradually increase their activity in ways they enjoy. For more, talk with your pediatrician or visit healthychildren.org.
Alternative Talk 1150. It's good for what ails you. This statement has not been evaluated by the FDA.
You ladies all
Maybe
set to come
this
back?
would help.
Yes. Okay,
All
we're
right.
going back. Thank you, Benny. Showing up. We've got our glasses half full. That doesn't mean we fall off the horse. We absolutely fall off the horse. And that's about being in integrity and being honest and transparent and vulnerable. And and I'm talking to Katie, and so welcome back again. And we were talking about kindness cards. We were talking about coming back and talking to you guys about how to self-regulate. And you were talking about your blog post about throwing cranberries. So I'm going to lead in with throwing cranberries for you.
Oh my gosh. Well, it is so much fun. I just wrote a Thanksgiving blog post at my website, katiejeffcoat.com, about how, you show up when maybe getting all the family together doesn't give you all the, good vibe feels that you think. Maybe there's just an uncle that tells too many stories or a mother-in-law that's meddling. I mean, who knows, right? We hear all the stories all the time. Luckily for me, my mother-in-law is amazing. So, I'm lucky there. But that doesn't say that we haven't all had those kinds of experiences. And one of the things that I try to remember for myself, I try to remind my children, and I want to share with you because I think it's been really important and helpful for me, is this tip that if I know I'm going to be in a situation, right, where maybe it's, Uncle Sam, getting all, liquored up or telling that war story one more time that we've all heard so many times, right? I try to, before I show up, if I know they're going to be there, is remember a time and a memory that I am grateful for, why I or how I appreciate them. So if it's, the uncle in the war story, it's I'm so grateful and thankful and, inspired that he served our country or that, whatever it is. So you try to come back. If it's the mother-in-law, she raised and produced the spouse that I'm married to that has given us these children, right? This idea that there are glimmers, there are these silver linings. And if we can then, when we feel like we want to chuck that cranberry sauce, just take a beat, right? And be like, okay, this isn't so bad. When the dishes are piling up and you're like, oh my gosh, you'd be like, we have food that we get to feed people. What a blessing. And just try to bring it in. And look, it's not perfect and it's not always easy, but it's just something, assume positive intent. I try to live by that motto, assume
I love
positive
that.
intent.
Yeah.
And some days are easier than others. Some
Yeah.
people, it's easier to assume positive intent than others. But we get to show up exactly how we want.
Yes,
Right?
I
So
love that, Katie. And you're speaking my language, sister, because I do that. Even I set my intention even before the radio show. I set my intention before I go shopping. I set my intention before I meditate. I set my intention when I know that I'm going to, back in the day, see a parental, and I'm like, all right, I got to get my shiitake aligned and together so I can keep myself in homeostasis and not take things so personally, right? So you
oh yeah.
and the language I would use, and I'm going to offer, the audience has heard me say this, and I literally would go into my heart. I'm also heart math mentor certified. So it's this whole breath work and getting your body into homeostasis and getting yourself into a higher vibration. And I would get into my heart and I would simply say, simply but profound. And this is my language. If you want to copy it, use it, just use what is authentic and genuine to you, right? I think that's really important because your body and your nervous system is going to call a B stuff on that. So I would go in and I'd say, I am happy, healthy, wealthy, financially, physically, and emotionally. And as I'm saying that, I'm visualizing it moving forward, literally me doing it in the now and then going forward. So I love that. Consistently inconsistent with love notes. And also you said intentions. What did you say before that? You called it
Um
something intentions.
I just lost my train of thought. But
That's all right. We'll roll back.
so what I was actually thinking about so I have this term called intentional margins, which is like finding this buffer before we do the thing, like intentional margins, the harmony between our to-dos and our priorities. But I think what you asked me just now was assuming positive intent.
Positive intent, yeah.
So assuming positive intent. And then, look, we're all doing all the things. And, like you mentioned, right? Like in your space, you want to like calm in this calm homeostasis, just,
The best that you
being.
can. I mean,
Right.
right.
But I think this is where I think some people get caught off guard, because I believe there are a million ways to do anything and you have to do what works for you.
Yes.
So if we're talking about Thanksgiving and gratitude and we're giving, all of these tips and tools and tricks and all these things that work for us, because scientifically we know gratitude, is releases the chemical like serotonin and dopamine and all that, all the feel good feelings.
Chemicals, yep.
Right. But the thing is if that's not what's going to work, then why are we doing it? I think two things: gratitude and appreciation. And you mentioned this earlier. It's semantics. I think they're the same. Gratitude and appreciation. I think it's just semantics. If you are more aligned with appreciation, just do that. If you're more aligned with the word gratitude, do that. Also, if you don't like writing in a gratitude journal and it makes you want to poke your eyes out every morning and you do it because you think that you're supposed to because somebody told you that you should, don't do it.
Don't do it.
Don't do it. Like, don't fit. Let's decide. Let's use what works for us instead of trying to fit somebody else's framework into our own like personality. Because
oh my God, drop the mic. Katie, just say that again. That is such an amazing, it's a metaphor for life, you guys. And you said permission slip earlier. Okay. Please say that again. Oh.
I mean, we have to decide what works for us. So if it's a gratitude journal, if it's a gratitude jar, I like to put my feet on the ground in the morning and do what I call a gratitude frenzy. And I'm like, I'm so thankful for this. I'm so thankful for this. And I like just
that little girl in the mirror doing that. Have you seen that meme?
Oh yeah, 100%.
Yeah.
Yeah. I'm like showing up right away. But the thing is that if that's not what's going to work for you, then don't do it. Like This is a gratitude or what I sometimes like to say, a happiness soup. We get to decide what goes in our soup. We all make chicken soup a little different. Some people put rice, some people put noodles, some people put white meat, some people put white meat and dark meat. Like, we have to make our own.
You're making
soup.
me hungry now. Yes.
Right?
I love that. It's the quantum soup. It's the happiness soup. And I love that, we make it, and we all come in different shapes and sizes. And Katie, I think you'll totally agree with this. When I say, if like when I'm educating or teaching, and I can say one thing to a room of 25 people and they all hear it and take it differently, or
Yeah.
some don't hear it at all. And I think, and I don't think, I know, just like what you were talking about, Katie, is you find what fits for you. You use the chicken soup analogy. I use the hats a lot. You know, you could do the brim and be goofy. You could twist it and turn it. You could just take it completely off. You don't wear hats. That's okay. And being really clear, clarity with Sue, but getting very clear on who you are, how you want to show up, and aligning authentically and genuinely with that. Two big anchor words for me. It's authentic and genuine. It just goes right inside. I think that's so important.
Yeah, I mean, I 100% agree. We have to decide and explore what's meaningful for us. Like, what does it for us? What kind of like gives us the feels? And it's so much more important to do that rather than obsessing about feeling good all the time and always being happy and doing the things that everyone else tells us to do, because
Ugh.
it never works. Like,
And it's exhausting.
oh my gosh.
You hear everybody going, I am exhausted. And I'm like, okay, well, let's start with, are you a people pleaser? Can you say no? Are you pretending to be somebody else that you're not? Please continue, Katie. Yes, exactly that.
Well, exhausted and trying to be someone you're not go hand in hand, right?
Totally. Yeah.
And, also randomness causes overwhelm, right? So if you're not clear, right, and you have all of this randomness on whether it's your to-do list, whether it's the squirrels with ADD in your head, like like I always feel that, right? There's always so much. Whether it's random on how you're gonna show up, whether you haven't found your alignment in your, practice, whether it's gratitude, that causes overwhelm. And that mental capacity is exhausting. It just is.
Yeah.
So of course,
Anything new, anything that is not your past is going to be different with the first few steps, right?
Yeah.
Just is.
Yeah. Yeah. So we have to decide like what works for us. And, I think, so really, this just came to me as we're really talking about this gratitude, appreciation, happiness, like how this all shakes out, especially at, this time of year, which happens to be right before Thanksgiving.
Yes. I love that we're having this conversation. And of course you would be here. I love
Of
it.
course, I
course.
know. But we also, as humans, part of a, human population, I think we have a responsibility to find happiness wherever we can. And that doesn't decrease our compassion for what's happening in the world around us, because we talked about the global pandemic earlier. We, at this time we have, we still have a war in Ukraine, we have hunger, we have global warming, right? We have lots of things happening in our world. We could have things happening in our small bubbles. Maybe someone we know is sick, or, something is happening, right? So we get to find that happiness, and it doesn't decrease our compassion for what's happening around us. We get to have both. It's our responsibility, yes, to have both, which is what was happening to me at the beginning of the pandemic, when I still felt nervous and scared and had all of those emotions, and I also could find happiness.
That's such an important message and conversation, because there's people listening right now going, I feel like I don't have anything. I've lost everything. What do I do? I mean, I'm standing here with my pants down. What do I do? Right. And it's just baby steps, right, Katie? It's simple little acts of kindness for you. And there's a few things that I do, even when I can't get out of my rabbit hole, when I'm spinning out, there's a few things I do. I'm acts of service. I get out of my own way and I go be of acts of service. And that's the forefront, and doing good for somebody else to get it out of, to just get out of my own way. And if all else fails, if none of that works, take a nap, meditate, take a nap, if you've done and I say this, I've done the checklist, I've worked out, I've done the meditation, and I'm still in my rabbit hole and I want to be here. We've all been there. And I'm like, okay, just go lay down and take a 20, 30-minute power snooze. It transforms your life. It completely changes, and it's like a paradigm shift. You wake up and you have an incredible phone call with somebody you haven't spoken to in years, or you see a post that you were really meant to see. Something happens that completely shifts and changes your mindset. Do you have something else to add to that?
I don't know that I could say it any better than you've already said it. I think at the end of the day, it's really impossible to predict how much happiness you're going to get from any one of these things. Right? Like, it's just whether it's gratitude or kindness or social connection or savoring, like all these things. It's just impossible to predict how much of a boost you're going to get from any specific change that you make in life. But as individuals, what we know scientifically is that it can boost happiness, and more than anything, it's worth a try.
Right there. Why not give it a try? Get out of the rabbit hole and the chemical addiction of being sad, of drama, of despair. Why not give it a try?
Yeah. Why not give it a try? And I think that's probably why I like kindness so much, and why I'm just obsessed with it, because I firmly believe that kindness is contagious. I see it all the time. We have this product line called Kindness Cards, and it's postcards. It's nothing, nothing special, except the messages are: the world is better with you in it. You are magic. Remember your awesomeness just because.
I think it is special. It's just not something new. I mean, postcards
like,
of all right. It is totally special, right? I love it.
Yeah, it is special. And look, you can buy my postcards. You can make your own from construction paper. You can go to Amazon. You can go wherever you want. That's not the point. The point is that when we do this, when we write in our handwriting, we boost scientifically our own happiness. We can't help it. And then when that person receives a card in the mail, which we never do anymore, it boosts their happiness, and they get that handwriting. And there's something very special about that. And I love a postcard because you don't have to write a novel. But people that receive cards, they don't walk into the house from their mailbox and like kick their dog. They're like, oh, wow, this was so nice.
Yeah.
And then they're nice to the next person. And there's a ripple effect that is a movement that it could be so exciting. You can write kindness cards with your friends. Girl Scout troops can write cards to people. You can write cards to kids that are sick in a hospital, like at a children's hospital. There are a million ways to show gratitude. Teachers could use some gratitude. You could leave a card for your flight attendant. You could do so many things.
Postwoman, barista, everything. Yeah.
There's just something magical about handwriting and authentic appreciation. It just doesn't happen any other way. And I'm obsessed with it. I love it so much.
I love that obsession. Hey, why not? Just like you said earlier, why not give it a try? An obsession of kindness, right? I love that. And the kindness cards, your 2-minute daily micro podcast. Stephen Surrey's got it on board too, right? I love that. Surrey's Amazon, right? Did I say that right?
Siri is
Google
iPhone.
Oh,
Alexa is Amazon.
Alexa. Okay.
Yeah.
So hopefully we didn't hopefully we didn't just turn on 1,000 Alexas as we're saying. If we do, go to kindness. Alexa, find kindness. Alexa, find gratitude.
I know. It's so
I'm going to love to hear from people that said, oh my God, Susie, I can't believe it. They found gratitude. I'm like, perfect.
Yeah, I love it. So I love it that it's really quick and easy. It's usually less than 3 minutes a day. And it's, happiness science, a little bit of musings about what I've got going on in life. Sometimes there's, drama or something exciting. And my concept, intentional margins, finding the harmony between our to-dos and our priorities, which is just because, look, we're all on the hamster wheel. We wouldn't have so many analogies about how we feel overwhelmed if so many people didn't feel overwhelmed. We're spinning off plates. We're on the hamster wheel. We're walking the tightrope. We're juggling the balls, right? We've all been there. I'm not
Okay,
different.
wait. Katie, we got to go back to intentional margin. We've got a few more minutes and you've alluded to this, but there's a big nugget right there. Will you unpack all that for us?
Sure. I'll do it really, really quick. So,
Okay.
intentional margins is the tool that I have found to find the clarity to like take a deep breath when it feels like the world is spinning and I have so much going on. So a lot of times our to-do list becomes someone else's priorities, or it becomes, we get 727 things on the to-do list and we do 724 of them, and then we beat ourselves up for the 3 we don't do. Who hasn't been there? I've been there.
Oh my God. Are you kidding?
Yeah. And so
Yeah.
I created this concept where it's really a buffer of space and time to prioritize and to put into harmony our to-dos and our priorities. Because what I found that I was doing, especially as I was practicing law and raising kids and all of these things, is I was, had all of these to-dos, but I was looking at the end of the day and I wasn't sure if I was living in my priorities. Was I being intentional? Was I doing the things that lit my hair on fire, whether it was writing a book, doing something for my company, knitting, having coffee with a friend, connecting with my husband, playing board games with my kids, decorating the Christmas tree because I want to, not because I have to get it done. I'm running out of time. Like, was I living in those priorities? And when I discovered that there's a system to that, I just was able to take a deep breath, and I just desperately needed it at the time that I came up with this.
I love that. Intentional margin, a tool to finding clarity when the world is spinning. It's the harmony of the to-dos and the priorities. Oh, Katie, I love that. And we talked about your 2 prongs, joy and well-being. And then also the second prong, purpose, satisfaction, that really what you love to do. I think that's really important for people and it's the clarity, right? Clarity is the gas pedal to all of your desires, and really sitting down and getting clear with yourself and getting clear with, I call it your personal code of conduct. You can have your personal code of conduct that's in business, a new family, and, as a single adult or single person. Really getting clear on your personal code of conduct, what satisfies you, what brings joy, kindness into your heart. How can you show up and be that shining example for your tribe? Your tribe could be your family, your tribe could be your team, your tribe could be entrepreneurs, it could be, staff, whatever that looks like. So how are you going to share, that gratitude and kindness, authentic and genuine, like Katie's talking about? And your 2-minute micro podcast is beautiful. And then the kindness cards, not only kindness cards for other people, but you know what I do at events? I have people sign their cards and then I take them and mail it to them a few months later. So it's a surprise, right? And just be consistently inconsistent about loving on yourself like that. Not with some other things, but when I specifically am talking about consistently inconsistent, surprising yourself with love notes, sticky notes in the toolbox, in the the spiral notepad or something. I would do that, and I have done that with friends and families, and I'd find an open, a notepad that I know that they use, and I'd thumb through it and find an open page and write, "You're amazing. Thank you for showing up to," just beautiful little notes of appreciation go such a long way. We've got
They really do.
Yeah, go ahead, Katie. We've got a couple more minutes, and I was just wondering if there was anything that you wanted to wrap it up with. You've got your kindness cards, you've got your podcast, your 2-minute, and how do they find you? You want to remind them how to find you?
You can find our podcast, Everyday Happiness, Finding Harmony and Bliss, everywhere that you listen to podcasts, and on Amazon. And we are on all the social channels, either my name, Katie Jefcoat, and Everyday Happiness with Katie. But I think it is really, important to think about how we affect others. And so, like you were saying, like you send these notes to yourself. or you like put little notes and you find them later. I think sometimes self-confidence can also come from when we have a tribe of individuals or group of individuals, a, unit of individuals that are also breathing life into us. There is something so
Social community,
magical
yeah.
when you have people just cheering you on. It's just brilliant. And there is this science around behavioral contagion where you actually do reflect back what that behavior is, and then birds of a feather flock together, right? So then you do that for one another, and you can't help but do it for others. But I think this might be an opportunity. I don't know, I'm just thinking of this to I would encourage the listeners to go out there today and do something kind for one another, for one person even, and really just reflect back some really strong positive language to someone that you appreciate. And maybe it's Thanksgiving and it's not someone that you particularly appreciate, but you have that silver lining and you can reflect back to them like, I really appreciate you for doing this.
Yeah.
Like, what a difference that could make.
Yeah.
I think there's so much in kindness, and it feels like we've lost touch a little bit about what it really feels like to be kind. And when we all start to do it, we can't help but do more of it. So I'm really just feeling that vibe right now.
I 150% agree with you. It reminds me of back in the day when I was doing customer service rep stuff and having to sell these automated phone services, right? This was years ago. And I'm like, where did the customer service go? Where did the human interaction go? And the genuine kind human interaction was what I'm saying. I love that. Thank you, Katie. We got about 3 more minutes. What are you doing for the holidays with your family and your kids? What are some to-dos that you're providing or doing all together to keep that kind of vibe going, the uplifting, the kindness, the appreciation?
Yeah, so we obviously do gratitude like most families. We do a lot of gratitude anyway, but we do some of that. Hopefully, we will stay in our jammies all day, which is like something I love, matching Christmas jammies. I don't know if I can get the children to do Christmas jammies quite yet, but we will be doing matching Christmas jammies at some point. And we will, have a wonderful meal and watch the Macy's Day Parade, watch the dog show.
The traditional yummy stuff.
Yeah, and we'll play board games, which is something our family really likes to do. It's a part of connection that is really fun. My kids are 11 and 14, and we never let them win. So it's always a super fun tradition to get out some board games. And I think at the end of the day, if I were to close on something happiness related, something we can all be thinking about, obviously the kindness stuff we've talked about, but happiness really is the joy we feel while we're striving for our potential. So
the joy we feel while we're striving for our potential.
Yeah, so I would encourage you to just sit in that for a few moments and see how that feels, and what that looks like for you, because there's a million ways to do anything, and you get to decide how you want to tackle the happiness in your life.
So beautiful. Katie, kids, husband, family, and thank you for getting in the rink and overcoming the rabbit hole, getting in the rink and shining your light, getting in the rink and being that lighthouse for thousands of people, not only now my tribe, my community, but the people that are affected within your tribe as well. So thank you very much for showing up and kicking booty and the kindness, and keep shining, keep doing what you're doing. We all need more of that. The cup's half fulleth, runneth overeth. Oh, I love it. Katie, thank you so much. Okay, for you that are just joining, just go to claritywithsue.com, get the newsletter. I'll have all the information and the links there. We will see you next week. Have a wonderful holiday season this coming Thursday. It's Thursday for Thanksgiving. And stay in that kindness, stay in that the elevated emotions of gratitude, and keep coming back to your center, heart center, breath, The breath is free, guys. Just take some deep breaths. Then appreciation, kindness, gratitude, all the good, juicy stuff. Until then, we'll see you next week. But until then, each of you are a gift. Get out there and share yourself with the world.